Going in live. That's what I'm headset on. That's why it's a proper cast, and that's what I do daily. So I enjoy it. It's proclamation news and Gavins. It's the prodigious. It's the prominent professor and proclamation. Let's enjoy the cast, ladies and gents. Some of you guys on Castbot, probably you newcomers, please subscribe. We've got over 500 subscribers, 300 odd. Subscribe. It's teleological, truthfully thoughtful process. It's usually to outline constants, more family updates, politics updates. I sometimes bring a bit of showbiz, people's interest. I bring the audience into an interactive show, so it's well worth subscribing. Um, some people wanting to learn English, look no further. I've got such a widespread jurisdiction. I don't deserve a clap on the back. I deserve a big wage packet. Absolutely. Like I say, it's proclamation news and Gavins. Make sure you are sitting here observing. Princess Anne visited army barracks in Gloucester on Tuesday, and for the occasion, it donned a serious sharp outfit, which even featured what happens to be a denim jacket. In a photograph shared on the royal family's official Twitter page, she could be seen chatting away to uniform-clad officers in a pair of beige slacks, which the ever-stylish princess paired with black leather loafers on and a navy and oh goodness, I just shut my window. I didn't mean to do that. And a navy and tan leather handbag worn over her shoulders as she was chatting away. Loaded the prayer. Ah, here we go. And wore her hair swept back from her face, completing the look with some simple but chic gold-studded earrings. Alongside the photos, a message was posted on Twitter, which went out in further detail about the 69-year-old visit, highlighting the important work the Corps have been doing amid the coronavirus pandemic. Oh, absolutely prodigious trousers. Remarkable. Yes. The princess looks so stylish. Royal family's full tweet read: The Princess Royal and the Connaught in Chief. Royal Logistics Corps today visited the Duke of Gloucestershire barracks, where she met the personnel who have been playing their part in the British Army response to the pandemic. Over the past months, Royal Logistic Corps personnel have provided support to the regional testing sites, worked with the NHS and contractors to deliver the new Nightingale hospitals, and stepped in as ambulance drivers. Just 2 seconds. I'm on my FM radio. Here we go. Fans were delighted to see fashionable royal out and about and flocked to the Twitter say so. Nice to have her back out and socially distancing. Glad that our army is doing their bit. Wrote on Royal fan. Glad to see the Princess Royal back in action. Added another. A third gust. Wow. I had no idea that Princess Anne is a colonel. It's a big responsibility. What a lovely lady to look up to. We can be very proud of her and very proud of the British Army and the NHS for their great work during the crisis. Thank you, she says. What do you make of that, the royal family? Is she a prodigious woman? Anne. Is Anne of the royal family? Princess Anne. Is she a prodigious woman? Visiting the army in a beige tan trousers, really. There you go. I do respect the royal family, but who is Anne when she's at home? I went from a comfortable salary to absolutely zero. This economic crisis in the news headline on politics. I went from a comfortable salary to absolute zero. How young people are coping with unemployment and money rise since coronavirus. A national poverty charity has seen a sharp rise in demand for emergency cash grants among people 30 and under, struggling with unemployment, and experts are now warning about a poverty trap. I'm struggling to sleep because of stress. I feel tired all the time, I feel drained. There's a lack of money, a lack of everything. Like many young people, Matthew, 23, lost his job because of the coronavirus lockdown. Ever since, he's been struggling to keep their head above water. He's behind on his rent, and paying for basics like food has become a challenge. He has ended up turning to National Poverty Charity, who gave him emergency cash grants. 2 seconds. I had unexpected phone call. Just pause what I was doing. Cash grant to help him get by. And that charity turns to us, exclusively tells BBC Three that while the value of emergency grant they paid over to the 30s has doubled, it's quadrupled for the 30 and under, compared to the same period as last year to 540,000. It's a really big increase and it shows how badly hit that this age group is by the lockdown measures and the income impact of coronavirus, says Turn to Us welfare benefit expert Anna Stevenson. The regions that saw the highest number of claimants of the charity's £500 emergency coronavirus grant were London, Scotland, and northwest of England. People apply for grants online and they're given out based on a number of factors, including whether you can improve a considerable loss of income and have savings of less than £1,000. Applications have been made temporarily suspended while they deal with the backlog. The charity says, but there are other grants available. It was hellish before the virus for young people, but it's unbelievable hellish now, says Lindsay Graham, independent policy advisor and member of Scottish Poverty and Inequality Commission. It makes you feel worthless. Matthew lives in a flat in a converted house with his girlfriend in Newquay, Cornwall. Before the coronavirus lockdown, he says, he was just about getting by. I pretty much keep my head above water, he says. We never lived month to month. We could always go about 6 weeks without work, that sort of thing. He was earning around 17,000 working as a housekeeping supervisor in a hotel, doing things like cleaning, organising motors and ordering supplies. A bit of everything really. I was sort of dog's body in the hotel. After working there for 2 years on a 0 hour contract, he was offered a job in a different hotel, but with better fixed hours. Obviously, in hospitality and service, most of the contracts you get are 0 hours, so to be given something of 40 hours appealed to me. That's why I left. I was working for the same company for 2 years, and I simply just changed jobs at the wrong time. When the government first announced its furlough scheme, it only applied to people who'd been in their job since at least 28th February. Chancellor Rishi Sunak, you always see him in the headlines, Rishi Sunak in the media, later extended furlough to people who had started work as recently as 19th of March. Matthew, however, was told he wouldn't be put on a furlough. And his financial situation was made worse because he spent 1,600 on a car for his new job. The emotional stress began immediately. Everything was going through my mind. How am I going to pay for things? How am I going to support my girlfriend? This is going through everyone's mind. It's probably not the only one in the same boat. I think there's absolute millions across the globe. Absolute millions upon millions. I'm one of them. Seeking support. We all seeking support. We all try and do good things. Not all of us just sitting there dwelling, doing nothing. Some of us are trying to broaden our horizon. Some of us are trying to still keep busy, keep our mind active. I've always worked, so to be unemployed sort of makes you feel you're not worth anything. Even though I'm always paid tax and national insurance, and I've got a good CV, it's degrading, but everybody would feel the same way. Matthew admits he struggled emotionally with applying for the grant, and that money worries have affected his mental health. Everyone's mental health is suffering for this crisis. Obviously, it's pretty degrading, but I'm sure everyone in my situation would probably feel the same way. It's not something I really wanted to do, but I suppose it's necessity, isn't it? And it's definitely put a lot of stress on relationships between me and all my family members. My brother works seasonally, so he gets zero work at the moment. It's quite a lot of people on my street in my town in Cornwall who are struggling. Hospitality is probably the worst in the sector. There's a lot of seasonal jobs down here that may not even come up in August. I'll be with you guys in a minute. It's got about another 20 minutes reading. Matthew had been applying for jobs constantly and managed to find a part-time job for 8 hours a week as a delivery driver. He got an advance from Universal Credit, which will not have to be repaid. He says he's angry to show benefit system pays younger people like him less. I mean, is anyone having absolute disturbance in their relationship, in their family through this coronavirus? Not going to work. You must be having absolute troubles. I mean, you go out for your Sunday fun day with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your loved ones. You can't afford to do it because everyone's on this universal credit to get through the coronavirus pandemic. I know it's slowly going back to normality. I'm very well, thank you, Katie. I'm just doing my usual, my radio class for 20 minutes and I'll be with you. It definitely makes me feel bad. The council doesn't say, well, you can pay less council tax because you're under 25. I pay more for my car insurance because I'm under 25. I don't think you get a lot of things cheaper being younger. Matthew is now behind on rent and he hasn't yet paid council tax yet this year. The only debts I have are because of what's happened in the last 8 to 10 weeks. He's now considering moving abroad to find work and says plans to start a family have been cut off. The prospect of bringing a child into this world doesn't seem so great, does it? I went back to relying on my mum. Lindsay, 25, is an events project manager who lives in Surrey with her mum. After working events since graduating, she decided to give self-employment a crack in January. She begged a fixed term contract with her airline. It started in March, but that was cancelled for a short while later. It's quite a harsh ending, she says. After weeks of hope and anxiety, as she went back and forth with the airline, she was ultimately told she would not qualify for the furlough scheme. She didn't qualify for self-employment either, like Matthew, though she did qualify emergency cash grant from the charity. Poor girl. Imagine that. Imagine being in that situation. You promise a job and then it falls through because of this absolute COVID-19. What distraught mess she would be in. I've literally just scraping by, Lindsay says in South from Surrey. For years, Lindsay has supported her mum, who works in nursing home, by helping to pay the mortgage on the home they share. My mum works in social care, so she's working ridiculous hours at the moment. She's in her mid-60s, so she was trying to slow it down a little, and I'd been supporting her financially since I was 16. I went from being on a really comfortable salary of 30,000 to quickly being on absolute zero and depending on my mum again. It's really frustrating. I've always been really independent. I've always paid my own way. Big anxiety and stress I have comes from an underlying worry that my mum feels like she was to work ridiculous hours to make up for the money that I can't provide anymore. I don't want her being absolutely exhausted doing all the hours because I can't support her. It's a big black hole. Looking into the future only brings more worry. Working in the events industry is not a glimmer of when that's going to get up and running again. It's a big black hole. I've literally just been scraping by alongside constantly trawling through the online job sites for opening in the industry. Lindsay secured a position as a mental health support worker with the NHS, but because of the social distance measures, the training for that position has been delayed. Being at home all the time really gives you the think, the time to think, which hasn't been good for mental health. Everyone's been hit by mental health situations. She's not the only one, but I can see how distraught the young girl is, supporting her mum, and now she's got nothing. It's absolute shock. Being independent, self-disciplined, self-motivated, all gets taken away from you. You still got to keep your mind busy, using a creative mind to get through the stress. It's hit me very hard. I've had a couple of wobbles where I thought, there's no way out. I was getting told no from everyone. It's hit me very hard. I've had a couple of wobbles, Lindsay adds. She has. They've found support of social media among other young people in the same position as her. Every day I'm active in a Facebook group with other new starters who missed out on the furlough scheme. Most people in the group are younger like me. People left old jobs to start new ones to better themselves, but we've been completely forgotten. Rishi Sunak said nobody would be left behind, but we'd get a group with nearly 10,000 people who have been. Lindsay says in the end she feels abandoned. I thought this cannot be humanly possible to have absolutely no way out or no support. What have young people been so badly hit? Why have young people been so badly? People under 30 are often at the beginning of their careers, so they're more likely to have more precarious employment situations, according to Anna Stevenson. And there are some additional factors that particularly affect. For the age group, under 25s are treated much more harshly in the benefit system, she adds. They don't get the same level of support as people over 25. There isn't really a justification for it at all. The welfare expert also says lack of government support for renters is an issue. The younger people are likely to be renting. As we know, renters have not had the same level of support since from the government as people with mortgages. The expert adds, it is really important to make sure the crisis is a temporary setback for young people and not long-term burden. Poverty can become a trap when people getting back into the decision of taking high cost loans, taking any job at all because they need a job. But then it's not just one that allows any space for advancement. So young people really need training support, access to good jobs, and to access to secure, affordable housing. I mean, you're going to go back to work. Are you going to trust your new job role? Are you going to trust that that job's going to be continuous after this lockdown? Is it going to pile up like this again? Absolute distress, distraught. Oh no, I can't really. It's despicable. Trying to go for a new job position, and then you're thinking, is this quite wave two going to come where the government just bring out this COVID-19 again? Executive Director of the Equality Trust, Dr. Wanda. Why Porska adds, young people have been in a bad situation for the past decade with increasing rental and house accommodations. There obviously needs to be a great deal more affordable social housing. That's at the heart of a lot of poverty crisis. We need to make sure that young people are paid real living wage because currently we have people who are working for their poverty. There are jobs that are very poorly paid and then going to food banks. And we need to see a return of investment in youth services, in mental health services, and a wider range of public services to support young people. A Department for Work and Pensions spokesperson said, we've injected more than 6.5 billion into welfare system, including increasing universal credit and working tax credit up to £1,040 a year, including for those under 25. We have also helped over 1 million households by raising local housing allowance for rates of unit resident housing benefit payments, while discretionary housing payments are available to further support those most in need. The Ministry of Housing communities and local government spokesperson added, we've put in place an unprecedented support package to help prevent people, regardless of age, getting into financial hardship or rent arrears, and to ensure no one can be forced from their home. We've also increased the local housing allowance rates to cover the lowest 30% on the market rents. From April, around 900,000 people across the UK saw their housing benefit rise. Meanwhile, a Treasury spokesperson said, or wide ranging support package, and one of the most comprehensive in the world. With generous income support schemes, billions of paid and loans grants, tax deferrals, mortgage holidays, and more than 6.5 billion injected into the welfare safety net. All the support is targeted to make sure we use public funds with responsibility, helping those who need it most as quickly as possible, whilst minimising fraud risk. I mean, in this lockdown, this must cause absolute split ups, domestic abuse in relationships, marriage, anything, it's just ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Ludicrous for everyone. Can't go back to normality because of COVID-19. 3 children die and mother critically after Paisley fire. Absolute horrendous news. 3 children have died and mother is critically ill after a fire at their flat in Paisley. The alarm was raised about 9 on Friday after the blaze broke out in an upper cottage flat in Renfrew Road. Fiona Gibson, 12, and her brothers Alexander, 8, and Philip, 5, died at Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow. The children's 39-year-old mother was taken to Royal Alexandra Hospital in Paisley in a critical condition. A police spokesman said an investigation is underway to establish the exact circumstances of the incident. Anyone with information is asked to contact the officers. Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, tweeted, no words are enough. It's just heartbreaking. My thoughts are with all who live for those poor children. Fiona, Alexander and Philip, may you rest in peace, she says. Well done, Nicola Sturgeon. It's absolute distraught for anyone that knew him, anyone in their school, anyone, their friend, anyone in their family must be absolutely distraught. Loss of children and mother. Our mother got away but died. Imagine that. How distraught would you be? being that mother. Even the father, he's now got to look after the critical mother and his children dead. Absolute devastation. Never forget the father. Coronavirus. All children in England back to school in September. Some primary school pupils in England began returning to classrooms at the beginning of June. All pupils in all year groups in England will go back to school full time in September, Education Secretary Gavin Williamson has announced. At a daily coronavirus briefing, he said the government was signed up to bring every child back in every year group in every school. Is that a way for mother and fathers? Kids are going back to school, taking little breaks to school. We haven't got entertainment no more. Or are the parents enjoying their kids home? Guidance on safety measures will be published in the next fortnight. I mean, I'm looking after my brother and me, cleaning up his mess. Isn't easy, but I do it because he's my brother. That's what you do. It comes after Prime Minister announced a £1 billion fund to help England's pupils catch up with learning. Mr Williamson also said class size limits or bubbles imposed to curb the spread of the virus could be increased to allow every child to return to school. Under current rules imposed during the coronavirus pandemic, class sizes are limited to a maximum of 15 pupils, but the Education Secretary said ministers were looking at expanding those bubbles to include the whole class. Class size vary in England, but this would be around 30 pupils. Teachers' unions, it says the proposals have not been thought through. There are no social distancing if you have got 30 children in one classroom. Kevin Courtney, Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union in the EU, told the BBC, but then you're going to ask them to abide by social distancing when they go out. I think that you won't work, and that will mean children aren't looking at social distancing at all. Schools closed to everyone except vulnerable children and those with a parent, identified as a key worker on the 20th of March in response to the pandemic. As the lockdown measures started easing at the beginning of this month, children nursery reception, Year 1 and Year 6 were encouraged to return to primary schools in England, albeit in smaller class sizes. Some Year 10 and 12 pupils selected because they are sitting GCSEs and A levels, respectively, next summer, return to secondary schools and colleges this week. Ministers now want pupils in England to return to classrooms full-time in the autumn. End and near 6 months absent for many pupils. We have already been very clear that we want to see all children in classes return full-time in school in September, that we are working towards, Mr Williamson told reports. Deadline in place. It is a promise that many parents will have been waiting to hear. Education Secretary Gavin Williamson has committed to all school pupils in all year groups going back full time in September. The part-time online, often not really any time lessons will be over, but the much thinker question will be how to deliver this, even if social distancing is reduced and class size bubbles of 15 pupils can be increased. There will still be a massive logistical changes. Head teachers have warned any social distancing, even 1 metre, will require additional classrooms and teachers, and have been excerperated at a time ticking away without any clear plan. With heads, Lord Geoff Barton complained schools are working in an information black hole. When the government had the U-turn on bringing back all primary pupils, it is because nobody listened to similar warnings about the lack of space. But a September deadline is now in place, and there will be high political stakes if there is another failure to deliver. The Education Secretary said signs that the spread of coronavirus was reducing meant that ministers could now look at making sure that every child returns to school. He said he understood there's anxiety still among parents about their children going back to school, but stressed. I want to assure you that the well-being of your children is an absolute top priority for every single one of us. The government will publish guidance for schools within the next 2 weeks on how to bring children back so that schools have the maximum amount of time to prepare for the next phase. Mr Wilson said, however, there's no confirmation of whether the government's 2 metre social distancing rule was going to be relaxed in schools. Mr. Williamson reiterated that the review of the measures is underway and added that you could not provide an exact date for the decision. Current Department for Education (DfE) guidance states that primary school classes could be split in half and contain no fewer than 15 pupils. Desks should be spaced as far as apart as possible, and lunch break, drop-off and pick-up times should be staggered. Schools should also consider introducing one-way circulation or placing a divider down the middle of the corridor to keep young people apart. As Mr. Wilson was speaking after coronavirus alert level for the UK was downgraded from 4 to 3, paving the way for a gradual relaxation of restrictions. A level 4 transmission of the virus was thought to be higher or rising. Exponent, exponentially, at 3, it is thought to be in a general circulation. Earlier, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he was determined to do everything and could get all children back to school in September. We will bring forward plans on how this will happen as soon as possible, he said. The Prime Minister prompted teachers' unions to call for clarity and proposals. Geoff Barton, General Secretary in Association School and College Leaders, the ASCL, said schools and colleagues were trying to prepare in September to amid an information black hole from the government. Mr. Barton said school and college leaders were preparing for two scenarios for autumn, using rotors to stagger the return of pupils or bringing students back to full-time amid an absence of information. Paul Whiteman, General Secretary of School Leaders Union NAHT, said the desire to bring everyone back is correct, but we need to know what the government is thinking and the scenarios that they are planning for. We're coming up to showbiz shortly, and we've got football action next, so stay tuned. This will give school communities what they need to get through this term. Plan for the new academic year in September. Mr. Courtney of the NEU said earlier, the Prime Minister's hopes are not enough. If the requirements of social distancing is ordered to stop a second peak, are reducing even to 1 metre, then most schools could not have children 30 in a classroom yet. The £1 billion fund to help children catch will see the most disadvantaged pupils gain access to tutors for a £350 million programme in a year for September. Primary and secondary schools will be given £650 million to spend on one or group tuition for any pupils they think need it. There are separate rules for managing the threat of coronavirus in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Schools in Wales are reopening at the end of June, with only a third of the pupils in the class at any time. When in Scotland, schools are preparing to reopen on 11th August. Social distancing in schools have been halved to 1 metre, just over 3 foot in Northern Ireland, where ministers are aiming for the full reopening of schools on 24th August. However, head teachers have warned that parts of the Northern Ireland plan are unrealistic and undeliverable. So have a little look at the football results today. You can check the football scores for the audience, trying to bring a different kind of audience together. Hope you guys are still all enjoying the cast and subscribing, sharing with your friends. It's proclamation news. Hope you subscribe to the cast on FM and live on YouTube as well. We're both on air. It's proclamation news and gathering, ladies and gents. Hope you're going to tune in. So here we go. We've got West Ham and Wolverhampton. Not even half time yet, and it's 0-0. Where? Oh, what's going on here? Let's go on to tennis. I didn't want tennis. We can leave the tennis. We can leave tennis out of it. Going into showbiz, I was going to give a bit more. Victoria Beckham wanted to marry me. Our Big Brother winner Craig Phillips become Britain's most popular man. Ever since Big Brother, All Seeing Eye official stopped watching in 2018. Reality show fans have been hoping the world's most spied upon house would return. Now their prayers are answered, well, sort of. More than 10 years after Big Brother decided to move its famous house over to Channel 5, its original home on Channel 4 are airing Big Brother, best shows ever, which sees the show's host reflect on series' biggest talking points. But anyway, we're all in our personal version of Big Brother right now, with the entire nation forced into their homes as part of the nationwide lockdown to prevent the spread of coronavirus. It's something Craig Phillips acknowledges to me when we speak on the phone. As the first ever winner on Big Brother in 2000, Phillips, then 28, experienced 68 days lockdown without any Netflix, books, or contact with his family. I was saying to my wife, this is better than when I was in Big Brother, he says, slightly distracted as he wrestles out paddling pool for the kids. Now we have social media. We can do things like we send text messages and read the news. I do remember Craig. In the house, we had nothing, so we were fully on lockdown in there. I was with 10 people I didn't know, and I didn't really choose to be with. Philip's now 48, very nearly didn't end up in the house with himself. The builder decided to take part in the social experiment to try and raise for family for friend Joanne Harris, heart and lung transplant, but was put off by the rigorous and strangely invasive application process. It was about 60 or 70 pages long, he recalls. It took days and days to get through, and asked really personal stuff. I found it all a bit insulting. One of the questions asked how often did I masturbate, and I was like, is this necessary? Do you need to know how much personal information about me? Well, for the very first moment, the inaugural series of Big Brother is barely recognisable when compared to reality TV Goliath. We know we now know it to be as the housemates entered the infamous bungalow without a live audience. With no one with a knew what to expect. The show very quickly had become a hit in its early run. When the first series, but remembered for nasty, pressurized bubble, because you have everything stripped away from you. You can't just walk away and blow steam off. When all were hoping to be friends out on the outside, I just felt very let down and betrayed. He was trying to manipulate people with the voting. We were all getting really wound up. I said, let's sleep on it and have an adult conversation in the morning. It was a morbid day. That's it on the showbiz. I mean, how many people watch Big Brother? Everyone loves a bit of Big Brother. I used to like it myself. I don't watch telly. I'll be totally honest here. Don't watch any telly whatsoever. I'm not a telly man. I'm not a telly who I take in narcotics. I'm neither of those substances. Arsenal lost to Brighton 2-1 today. Arsenal lost to Brighton. Watford, Leicester is 1-1. West Ham Wolves, like I said, still going. Bournemouth and Crystal Palace this evening. I'm going to read out the Premier League statistics in the table. Liverpool are top of the league and they're absolutely smashing it by 22 points. Man City in second place. Leicester in third, 54 points. Chelsea are fourth. Man United, Wolves, Sheffield United, seventh. Tottenham are eighth. Arsenal eighth. Norwich are at bottom of the league. I'm not going to bore you to tears. But that's Proclamation News and Gavin's, ladies and gents. Please give it a share, subscribe. I need some more acknowledgement. I don't just need encouragement because you can listen to anyone and anyone could talk the news if you're very fluent and well literate with your English literature. I've been reading books for many years, studying media since 1995. Proclamation News and Gavin's is going to be a force to be recognised. I want more people to be loyal and trustworthy and be a friend to help me build my Gavin's. I mean, if you're paint and decorate, a builder, or and you're a friend or whatever, and you want me to help advertise your company or input leaflets out, I'll do it free of charge. So help me scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. That's how one becomes 10. Thank you very much. Over and out, ladies and gents. Proclamation News and Gavin's. One love, take care, speak soon.